For some reason, I've just been like revisiting like the slasher genre lately.
Really?
Yeah,
I've never gotten into the slashers.
I've always loved the slashers.
Yeah, yeah. I've never seen Halloween or like Friday
What
the 13th.
what do you mean? The original?
Never seen it.
Either?
I may have seen the first Friday the 13th. That's the one with the mom, right?
Yeah, Pamela
Yeah.
Voorhees.
Yeah. I've seen that one. I've definitely never seen the original. The only slasher like franchise, not even franchise. I love the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's like one of my favorite horror movies ever,
Okay.
period.
All right, that's a big
And
one.
and I've never watched all of them, but I've always just loved Freddy Krueger because out of all of them, he fucking shreds the most. Like Jason walks around with a knife, Michael walks around with a knife, Freddy's like in your dreams, like doing crazy like transmogrifying shit. He's like
Oh
a
no, Freddy
fantasy.
Krueger is incredible.
He's
I
so
think
cool.
he's my
Yeah.
favorite, I think also.
He's just the cool, like he's in your dreams. That's so much scarier than like a man walking at you with a knife.
Well, don't get me wrong, like an unstoppable
Sure, no, they're
giant
scary. Yes,
walking towards me in the woods. No, I'm gonna
they're
piss
scary.
myself and I mean, I guess try to run. I know what's gonna
Right.
happen though, because
They're gonna walk at you in slow motion and still catch up to you.
well, I think like it was like Jason Takes Manhattan. He actually, I kind of liked it when I was younger. I don't know why, but it was cheap because then he gained teleportation. Like he would like start.
What? He
He
literally
started
could teleport?
like it would be the normal chase scenes, but he would pop up in front of wherever they
Oh,
were running
get out of
to.
here.
And I was just like, that's you can't beat that. You're done.
Right.
You're just dead.
No, I just love the first. Yeah, I
Oh,
just love the first Nightmare on Elm Street where like I don't know, halfway through the movie, they're all just like, shit, we like can't go to sleep. That is the scariest part of that movie is when they're all like, if we go to fucking sleep, we're gonna die. That's so scary. And then they all start getting tired and shit. Like
I think that's like
that rules.
that might be the best one of like all of them to
All
me.
of them.
Like the original Nightmare on
Yeah,
Elm Street,
that movie
just it
rules.
was terrifying.
That and Texas Chainsaw really kick ass. But yeah, I've never been like super into the slashers. I don't know. I think it's because there are, if you pick any of them, like if you pick any of the slasher characters, there's like 70 movies you have to watch. Not have to, but like
Well, okay, you really don't have to do Leprechaun. You can, I think,
sure. I definitely won't.
you know what I'm saying? Like you
Yeah.
can do the very first one, even though that's bad, but you're really just
Yeah.
doing it as like a checklist type thing. And then, like, obviously, you don't do the last two Chuckies.
Oh, see, I don't. I am vehemently opposed to Chucky as a property. Period. How could that be scary? How could that be scary?
Serial killer transfers his soul into a doll, man.
You know what
That's
I do? You know, hear what I do? Let me just pick this doll up. I'm going to place him in the garbage and just be done with him forever. What?
no, I know.
What's scary about Chucky? I could punt him.
Well, he's not. That's the thing about Chucky. He's not gonna expose himself right off rip. He's gonna like
He's a
play.
toy.
He's gonna plant himself, and then like while you're
He's
like
just a shitty doll.
while you're applying makeup, you're gonna hear him scurry past you behind, like, and you're gonna look.
Yeah, and then
be
I
like,
just
what was
turn around
that?
and full force punt him.
No,
That's
he's
like
not gonna be there. And then all of a sudden he's gonna like stab you in the Achilles or something.
Chucky sucks shit. He's the only one where I'm like, fuck that. Like a toy? I will just simply throw him in the garbage.
They've done that many times, and he comes back. He's came back from burning, been sliced.
Sure.
'Cause, you know
I
what
mean,
I'm saying?
they all come back.
Yeah, I mean, as
They all
far
have
as
to come back.
Chucky eventually had like a baby with like Jennifer Tilly's doll, and it got. I was like, no, this is where I leave, and
You're out.
it became too comical. Once it
Well, yeah,
becomes more
that's a
one-liney
right. That's a
comical,
really weird franchise because I think the same guy who created Chucky has done like all of the movies, and he keeps going back and like changing the genre. Like he'll do it like as a comedy and then do it as like a satire, and like he just keeps doing Chucky over and over again, but like with different angles, which is interesting. But yeah, I'm sorry, but when your villain is a shitty toy that I could punt,
right? Kick
I'm
a
out.
field goal. He's running at you down the hall, like a tight hallway. That's where he can't like get by me. Just kick just
Oh,
line him up and
let me just put my hamper over him. Like we're
50
done.
yards going.
Easy,
Oh,
easy money out the
no,
window.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah, he's the only one where I'm like, no thanks, I have no interest.
Yeah, I mean, he would come with the one-liners, but Freddie came with the one-liners and backed it up with some gnarly kills.
Yeah, Freddy could do some crazy shit. Freddy
Oh,
rules.
yeah, which ones have you seen?
I've for sure seen the original Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay.
The original. I've seen a couple Texas Chainsaws and the original Friday, and I may have seen like the shitty late 2000s remakes of Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th. I know they've like remade those somewhat recently,
Yeah.
but I've
Did you
never
see those ones? The remakes of
I think I only saw those two remakes.
Okay.
Which were
The
pretty
Nightmare
bad.
remake with Jackie Earl Haley was pretty bad.
That was pretty bad.
But it did introduce a cool thing about the mini sleeps or like micro sleeping.
No, I don't
Like
know.
because it's a real
I don't
they
remember that.
introduce they introduced a cool thing where people basically you fall in and out like real quick. So he would just be popping up and
Weird.
yeah, no, it's cool. But yeah, it sucked. The Friday the 13th reboot, that was pretty sweet because they had Jason like running almost and setting
Okay.
traps.
Yeah. What else is there? What other slashers are there?
Well, the Saws. Well, you can count the Saws.
You count the
And
Saws? Yeah, I saw the first. Like, I know I've seen the first one. I may have seen like one, two, or three.
yeah, I love the Saw. Like, love the
Saw the
Saws.
first Saw rules.
First Saw rules, second Saw rule, third Saw ruled.
Oh, you just love all of them.
I actually the fourth one's grown on me too a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
No, I don't know. The slasher just and how about did you see the Danny McBride new Halloween
Nope.
reboot?
I haven't seen it.
So that's the thing with Halloween. There's like crazy amount of timelines.
It's a sequel to like the original movie only, right?
And yeah, it's a retcon from the after the original.
Right.
Creating a whole nother timeline. There's like three timelines.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But
I heard that one's good. I just didn't see that one. I've seen all of these movies. Not a slasher guy.
Okay, well, maybe that's something we're gonna have to work on.
I mean, whatever. I'll get there.
Hey, I love, I'm here for them. I'm a film school dropout.
I was gonna say, this is obviously a podcast on Phantom Thread. Welcome to Film School Dropouts, a movie podcast in which each season we cover a director's full filmography, as long as it isn't any sex criminal. I'm ruling out any sex criminal. Roman Polanski, Woody Allen, Bryan Singer, they're all off. I'm just making sure that we cover that, get that out of the way. I feel like that's a fair one, right?
Did you do Brett Ratner?
Yeah, I think last episode I mentioned I don't want to do Brett Ratner because he's got to be in there too. Just any sex criminal.
He did a few movies I like.
Brett Ratner?
Yeah.
They've all done a few movies I like.
Yeah, that's true.
All done a few movies I like.
Or Singer with X2.
X2, right. Yeah. But hey, we're not going to talk about their movies because they're bye. This season we're covering the films of Paul Thomas Anderson. Today's episode is on Phantom Thread. My name is James and I'm here with my old so-and-so, Brent. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I'm ready to talk about this riveting movie.
It's the last one for season 2.
Yep.
We're in our season 2 finale. We got to say bye to Paul for a couple months.
Not too long.
No, he's got his new movie coming out this December, so we'll cover that when it comes out.
I wonder how we're gonna do that. I want like a little bonus episode or something.
Yeah, well, I figure anytime we cover a director who has like a new movie, we'll just like drop like a brand new bonus episode.
Okay, because
I figure we're gonna interrupt.
After watching his filmography, I figure we're gonna want to see it pretty quick.
Yeah, I think we'll cover that like the week it comes out. And same with like Nolan whenever his next movie comes out and whatever. I feel like any director we cover, we have to like take stake in them for further movies. Yeah. Before we get into Phantom Thread, though, let's talk a little movies.
Oh, you got a little movie that you've seen recently?
I have a couple, and I have one. I'm going to the 90s now. Now Jimmy's going to 1995.
Oh, it's a glorious time. Welcome.
Now, I'm also staying in my wheelhouse because this is a Japanese animated movie. So,
okay,
yeah, it's a little one and one, whatever. But I figure, hey, this will be a good time for me to knock this out. This is a movie, the only movie directed by this director. So we're just going to cover his whole filmography right now.
Oh, all right.
So his own movie. The movie is called Whisper of the Heart and is directed by Yoshifumi Kondo. It's maybe the best movie that like Ghibli has ever produced. I love this movie so fucking much. It's written by Hayao Miyazaki, and I think it might be my favorite thing Miyazaki's ever done. Yeah,
so you're saying a lot of big names right there. Ghibli has done a lot of great movies.
Yep.
And Miyazaki is,
I mean, he's like the Grand Master, right?
Right.
Yeah.
He's sensei.
Exactly. Yes. He wrote this movie, didn't direct it, but Yeah, it's a very slight movie. It's kind of like a teen like rom-com essentially. Like I mean, it's a Japanese animated movie, so it's more that than anything, but there aren't like high fantasy elements to it. There's no like magical witches or like whimsical frog princes or people floating away on clouds or anything. It's just like a girl in high school who falls in love with a boy and then she wants to like be a writer. And that's the whole movie, and it's delightful. It's so delightful. I love it so fucking much.
You know what? I've got you're starting to use this segment for just delightful little cutesy
Yeah.
like
Yeah, I gotta, bring some happiness into the world. And Whisper of the Heart is just one of the most joyous movies. I just can't stop smiling the whole time I'm watching it.
well, I love anime.
Yeah. I think
So
you'd like this movie. Like it's just fucking good.
okay, well, I'll add it to my anime list.
It's here's my selling point on this movie. It does two things that like no other movie does as specifically as this does. It perfectly captures that feeling you had when you were like 12 or 13 and like every emotion you had was the most intense thing in the world, and like you had a crush on someone and it was like Armageddon. You know that feeling like way back in the day.
Yeah.
It does that perfectly, and it also does like the main character Shizuku wants to be a writer, and like it is so able to capture the feeling of self-doubt and like confusion you have when you're younger and you don't know what you want to do, and you start to create things or like you start to get into things and you're like, is this the thing I like? I don't know, let me try it out. And you're like so flustered about it. It captures that emotion so well. It's unlike anything you've probably ever seen, especially the second part of that.
Dang, what year did this come out?
95.
95, right? Smack dab in the middle of it.
I feel like since we're covering the entire filmography of Yoshifumi Kondo right now, I do want to like this is the sad part of the story. He dies 3 years later of an aneurysm, and the doctor said that it was from overwork. And essentially, like Miyazaki came out and was like, "Well, I'm retiring," which he's done like 15 times, but this was the first time he like said he was retiring because he sort of felt bad for Kondo dying because he's like, yeah, I think I overworked him on this movie, and I think he worked himself to death making this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard many times that Miyazaki or he's just crazy when it comes to like
He's very
grueling work schedule, and
he's very demanding, and Takahata, the other founder of Ghibli, is like even more so. So it's not surprising that maybe this guy worked himself to death making this movie, but Miyazaki has since said like since this guy died, like he has really calmed it down, and like he was like, okay, I can't work these people this hard anymore. So it was a bit of a turning point for him, probably for like the best, but it's very sad that this guy died after this movie.
yeah, it's super sad. I mean, your segment started off pretty cute and like it was like, oh nice, and then it got real dark because,
Yeah.
well, I mean, when we get to Miyazaki, where I'm
Which we will.
sure that'll be a pretty big theme.
Yeah, we'll talk about his, yeah. I mean, most honestly, when you look at most animation directors, they have that element of them where it's like they are fucking like they will work you to the bone. It is intense to work for them, and they know like they're very demanding. They know exactly what they want. They're exacting. So like, yeah, I mean, we'll probably talk about that whenever we cover Miyazaki.
It's not even just like I've heard about like the studio behind like all the Dragon Ball and like all those big I can't what's the big
I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, I know like Funimation
does
Shonen
Jump.
Shonen Jump. Yeah.
Shonen Jump. Like I think at one point they had to like change the regular. It was just because everyone was complaining about the conditions over there
overwork.
Too. Yeah, and like I've seen like pictures of their offices where it's just like tiny cubicles just surrounded by like different drawings and like yeah, and it looks intense. And
animation seems like a very hard job.
I mean, I hope the end product has to be rewarding enough or they wouldn't do it.
I gotta say, just based on only Whisper of the Heart, totally worth it. Sorry, I'm sorry you passed away, but holy shit, this movie's so good, dude.
That's kind of where I was heading with this. Like, we're gonna keep talking about, especially we're gonna notice how gorgeous like anime movies are, but I don't know how often do we give credit to like the blood, sweat, and tears.
Right. Yeah.
And in this case, someone's life.
A life. Yeah. Yeah. Crazy. So anyways, what's your little movie this week?
Well, I wanted to see it before it left theaters, and I'm glad I did.
Ooh, new one?
Slightly, because I think it's actually on streaming services right now, which most
Oh,
are.
okay. Okay.
But A Quiet Place Part Two.
Oh, you finally got around to it.
Yeah, because I don't think it's John Krasinski's. This is the segment. It's like little baby movies or
Sure. Yeah.
like small filmographies. This is his second one.
I actually think it's his fourth movie.
Oh, is it?
I think so, because I think he did like two like little comedies. I could be wrong here, but this is his second, like, yeah, big successful breakout. Right.
Okay. Well,
I'm checking right now, but go ahead. Yeah, he has two other movies that are basically like nothing.
okay.
He has a movie called Brief Interviews with a Hideous Man that I've never heard of. And then, oh, wait, no, these are the screenplays. Let's see, director. Let's see. Yeah, he directed The Hollers and then Brief Interviews with a Hideous Man.
Oh,
Like
okay.
little tiny indie movies. But yeah, A Quiet Place was like his breakout film.
Do you think we would ever cover him on this podcast?
Absolutely not.
Well, did you like The Quiet Place, the first one?
I thought it was fine. I wasn't like, I know that movie was like, everyone was, this is the best fucking horror movie of the year. I thought it was totally fine.
No, I don't. I never got that impression. I just
here's,
thought
okay,
it.
here's my thing. I am fully uninterested in John Krasinski as an actor, and probably equally uninterested in him as like a writer and a director. Like he's just, I don't get it. He's just like,
I knew you'd be like this about him.
and I'm not even trying to be mean. I just don't get it. Like I've seen
It's-
some episodes of The Office. I saw A Quiet Place. I don't get it. What's the thing?
I just knew you'd be like this about him. I feel like too many people like him, and you're like counterculture.
I'm okay, sure, but like, man, I hate that you just pegged me with that because you're kind of right. But like, I just don't get the John Krasinski thing. Like,
He's
I hear a lot of.
charming.
Is he? I've seen. Here's
He's
the movie.
funny,
Sure, he might be funny.
and now he's flexing his directing muscles, and it's for me. It was 2 for 2.
I don't dislike A Quiet Place. I thought it was like perfectly.
Here's the thing with
movie.
Quiet Place. Whenever it can bring something new to the genre, and even though it was, I know like there's a movie where you couldn't. It was something about it was like an invert where you couldn't hear,
Mm-hmm.
but like in it, I guess he supposedly was like, I don't know, semi rip off of it. I don't want to say it of it because but he took it and made it its own, and it was because that was something no one had seen before, and that's what I can appreciate. When you bring something new to the genre.
So you saw Quiet Place Part 2. I have a couple things I want to talk about now that you brought John Krasinski up. We'll cover him right now too. How'd you like A Quiet Place Part 2?
I thought it was a solid follow-up to a solid original. What he did was he said it right after the last one pretty much ended.
Does it start with Emily Blunt just douching people with a shotgun?
No,
that's how the last movie ends.
Yeah, no, he started exactly how I wanted with Day One, where you kind of see how
they got there.
Yeah, spoiler alert, a meteor comes down.
Is he in this movie?
Well, Day One he is.
So it's okay. Smart.
Right. So
smart on his part.
Yeah, he gave himself
just to get himself back on the camera. Like that's smart.
Yeah, absolutely. And it worked. It did it's a very long scene, and it kind of it sets the tone perfectly. Great opening. And another, just like how the first one kind of had an epic little ending where they beat the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Beat the little monster with the sound, and she unloads the shotty, and it's kind of like it felt like kind of an epic ending to the first one. There's a similarly epic ending to this one, and throughout it's Cillian Murphy and Emily Blunt just killing it, and the kids were great too. Kids were solid again.
Noah Jupe, I love him. I love Noah Jupe. That's the kid in that movie. I like him. Okay, here's some things I have to say about A Quiet Place and John Krasinski. John Krasinski's best performance is a supporting role in Nancy Meyer's movie It's Complicated. He is so funny in that movie. We'll probably cover that movie someday. I think he's very good in it. I think you're making a face like I just said something insulting.
No, I'm just thinking like, of course you like him in that role before he got like all the before he blew up.
Wasn't that after The Office though? When did The Office start? I think he was pretty big at that point.
I feel like
It's Complicated was like
09 shows though that got
extra it like blew up again
after it hit streaming
Netflix,
services.
Right? Yeah. No, I think he's like the best part of that movie. We'll talk about it. But I saw Quiet Place in theaters. And my experience was really funny because that whole movie was like, everything needs to be silent, and any sound that is made is going to like be upsetting and scary and unnerving, right? Like that's the whole point of that movie, is like utter silence, right? So it's me and my girlfriend Jessica watching it, and then 2 rows in front of us, there's just the whole fucking movie, this guy just noshing on popcorn louder than anyone ever. So it was like we're trying to get in the mood of this movie, and homeboy in front of us is just going to town on this big bag of popcorn, and we're like, fuck, like we're trying to get in. And like, it's so that was that. Anything else about John Krasinski? I don't get it. Everyone who keeps talking about how like him and Emily Blunt need to play Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Girl, the most boring thing I've ever heard of. God, I don't want to see that at all. I don't get the John Krasinski thing.
Oh man, see, even right before the movie started, he there's like a little message thanking. Oh, I want to thank you for coming out and seeing Quiet Place Part 2 in theaters. You know, and it's just it made, I don't know, dude's charming. You got me. I was like, that was nice. I was
Good for him. He's a nice guy.
I don't get that from other directors. I've seen a gazillion movies. I've never gotten that once.
Oh no, they do that sometimes. I remember they did that for like Incredibles 2. They do that plenty. Did you see
Brad Bird? Oh, you know what? Brad Bird does it?
Yeah. Did you see Incredibles 2 in theaters?
No.
Oh, what do you say? Fool.
No, you know what?
A foolish mistake on your part. What a movie that is in theaters. No, the beginning of that movie is like Brad Bird, Holly Hunter, and Samuel Jackson and Craig T. Nelson. They all come out and they're like, thanks for waiting 14 years for us to make this movie. We're so excited to share it with you. Like, thanks for coming to see it. Like, that's how that movie. There's plenty of people who do that.
Oh, that's pretty cool then. I didn't see it. I don't know. I haven't seen that. It's not commonplace for me.
I will say, I hope that like, I'm sure that movie was a decent hit. I hope more people start doing that. That'd be awesome if I went to like go see any movie and the director has to pop up on screen and thank you for coming to see it.
Well, I think that's what makes I liked it so much, is because they don't have to do it.
Yeah, they should though.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like no problem. It made me feel good about giving them money to.
Yeah, I'd love to go see like the next Scorsese movie and his little head pops up.
No, I don't want to see him.
All right, hey, thanks for coming to see my movie.
It's just a hand, like he's jumping up.
Why do you not want to see Marty? He's so charming.
He's a little garden gnome.
I love Marty.
I know, he's cool.
Oh, he's the best. Okay, well, you ready to thread the needle? You want to talk about these dresses? You ready to talk Phantom Thread?
Let's talk about these dresses.
Good morning.
Will you have dinner with me?
Yes.
I feel as if I've been looking for you for a very long time. You look beautiful. Very beautiful. I have things I want to do. Things I simply cannot do without you.
Reynolds has made my dreams come true, and I have given him what he desires most in return. Every piece of me.
Yeah, Phantom Thread. So, is this your first time seeing Phantom Thread fully? Yes, it is. We talked about this.
Yeah, I had saw a good portion of when it when it first came out, but I didn't see like the end. I think it was about final 40 minutes.
You missed it in theaters. And then
I missed it
pretty soon after you like watched half of it.
Yeah, well, yeah, pretty much a little more than half. Yeah. And I was completely entranced pretty much from the opening.
Yeah.
Pretty much all the way through. What about you? How many? You've probably seen this a gazillion times.
So this is only, I think this is my third time, because I saw it once in theaters. And I only saw it, I may have watched it once after that, but this is for sure like 100%. This is my second time, maybe third time through. Okay. I saw this movie at the Main Art Theater, rest in peace. And like I had been waiting for it for weeks because it had come out in like New York and Los Angeles, like Christmas of 2017. And of course it didn't come to Michigan until like the middle of January. So I'm just sitting there waiting for it. Finally go see it in the Main Art, and it was fucking great and I loved it. Yeah. So I think you have already hit on something about this movie that is awesome, which is it is like you're just being hypnotized, and it's like this enchanting spell is being cast on you.
Yeah, so I mean, it's Daniel Day-Lewis's last
Quote unquote
movie.
last movie, right?
Yeah. I mean, until I see otherwise, we got to take it serious, right?
Yeah, I actually, because he's talked about like retiring before, but it does seem like he doesn't want to act anymore. Like, it does seem like this might just be the last time he ever makes a movie. And honestly, what a way to go out.
Man, it's just, I don't know. I'm gonna miss how good he is. Like, he's just
Yeah.
so much better than everyone else.
I
Like,
know. I recently watched My Left Foot, which is the movie he won his first Oscar for. And like halfway through that movie, I was like, yeah, I get it. Like, he's just the best. Like, he can just do things that no one else can do, and he's just the best to watch. And yeah, it's a bummer that if this is his last movie, it's kind of a bummer.
like I've said multiple times on this podcast about, tier one, how I think it's Leo, Phoenix, Bale is my tier one. No particular order there.
Okay.
But I think I've also told you that, like, that's their tier one because this guy's done now.
He's god tier. Like, he is.
Yeah,
he's in the rafters.
He's literally the next level for, like, as far as like talent. He's not my favorite, but it's like talent wise. Like, when this guy's like, I'm like, no, this guy is Reynolds Woodcock.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, we talked about it on There Will Be Blood, but it's a very boring opinion to have, but like, yep, he's the best.
Like, he was Daniel Plainview.
There's just nothing to it. He's Bill the Butcher. He's fucking Abraham Lincoln. He can just do it and fully embody it. So
it's unreal.
Yeah, so here's another one where he just absolutely fucking crushes it. And I think he's so good in this.
Well, that brings me to my next point. Like, this is a movie about a dressmaker or seamstress or
he owns. Yeah,
granted, he's prestigious, and like right off, like the opening right off the bat, you understand like this dude is pretty much a baller when it comes to how good he is at making the dresses.
So let's go ahead and set the table for what this movie is. This movie is the polar opposite of Inherent Vice. Whereas Inherent Vice is like Joaquin Phoenix being high and like making dick jokes and like walking around a beach. This movie like takes us all the way to London in the 50s, and it's just set in the stuffy, pretentious, prestigious house of Woodcock, where he's making these beautiful dresses and everything has to be so prim and proper. It's like the complete inverse of what he just did with his last movie. Go ahead and get your digs in. Go ahead. It's also good. No, it's just, this movie is so like, I think half the reason why you're kind of entranced by it is because everything on screen is the most beautiful.
I mean, I think it could be just his performance, but no,
definitely.
To what you just said about that change from like the settings, like it paid dividends for me, because I much rather see this this is elegance.
Yeah.
To don't scrape your toast at breakfast elegance.
Oh my God. Okay, so what do we want to talk about right now? I've got a lot of talking points here. Do we want to talk through the plot and then just kind of go off from there? Because there's a lot to dissect here.
Well, writing, I think, we get a little segment right even before the opening title card where they're establishing just how, right off the bat, oh man, just I don't think you could find a speck of dust in his apartment as they're going through it.
So the movie actually starts with Vicky Creeps, who plays Alma, and she's giving this monologue to someone off screen about how she's given her whole life to Reynolds and how demanding he is, and like she's kind of smiling. It's a really weird, I don't know how to even describe that setup. Like, she's describing her relationship with Reynolds, and it sounds taxing, but it also sounds like she really like loves the rewarding part of it.
Yeah, it's the way
she's
it's
like
set
bathed
up
in red.
Yeah, the way it's kind of unnerving. I don't know.
It is
a little bit because you don't know what's happening, and I think I benefited from not seeing the end.
Oh, okay.
The first time.
We'll get into it, but okay.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into that.
Okay, so we meet. So let's just jump ahead to when we meet Reynolds and what his life is like.
Yeah, I mean, so his sister is
Cyril.
Cyril's handling his day-to-day operations.
She manages his life.
To me, she has a dream job.
I think she has a dream. She has a dream job if you have the stomach for the kind of things she has to do, because like it is obviously probably awesome. They seem very close. You know what? Let's back up a little bit. Let's talk about Reynolds Woodcock as a character. This will help.
Brent, you ready to dive into old Reynolds?
So let's talk about Reynolds Woodcock. He is a, I don't know, 50, 60 something fashion designer in the 50s in London. He is such a fussy boy. Like if you put up Daniel Plainview and this guy next to each other, they are so opposite in so many ways.
Oh, it's yeah.
Now, just a little flashback to our last episode. I said that this movie was pretty fucking funny. Do you agree?
I actually am glad you brought that up. I think it's way funnier than Inherent Vice.
This movie's fucking funny. And
I mean, that's not saying much with Inherent Vice.
All right, let's not. You've already hurt my feelings.
I know. I had to get one more in.
All right. But like, yeah. So this movie's funny in the way that, like, yeah, like I said, Reynolds is so fussy and so particular. Like, he will say or do something, and you can't help but laugh at how silly he's being. And
of my notes: severe tongue lashings abound.
Oh yes, a lot of tongue lashing. But yeah, we meet Reynolds, and you're introduced to him through this quick like sequence of shots where he's like shaving his face and shining his shoes, and he's combing his hair back, and all of these shots are gorgeous. And then you see him at breakfast with his current girlfriend, Joanna. This is where I'm talking about how brutal you have to be if you're Cyril, because Joanna is obviously they're at the tail end of their relationship when we meet them, right? She tries to like offer him like a pastry, and he's like, no more stodgy things. And she's like, I didn't know that. And the next scene, Cyril is like, Reynolds, you want me to like kick her out? Like, you seem done with her, right? And he's all hurt because of whatever, and he has to go off in the countryside to like, you know, lick his wounds.
He's just a proper boy.
He's such a fussy boy. I love him. But yeah, so that's sort of how we're introduced to him, is the end of a relationship, which kind of paints what we're going to see for the rest of the movie. It sort of like sets up what to expect from him for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, and it's like, even in that when the first time you meet him, he's like, one of the dress he makes is for like a countess, you know, like,
oh, that's who he makes. Yeah. So he goes off to the countryside because, I don't know, Cyril's gonna kick Joanna out because they're done. And Joanna has,
because it's that little it's like a little cute. Oh god, I love the you know, he always nails the set pieces, but like this, I felt like I was there, and the whole while where like you hear the soundtrack is like,
oh,
give me.
I have so many things to say about this soundtrack.
Well, it just fits it to the T.
Absolutely. So this is Johnny Greenwood's, I think, 4th score in a row for Paul Thomas Anderson. This is Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead, the guitarist of Radiohead. His last, like, the Inherent Vice score is fine. Like, it's kind of just like groovy and like, you know, cool, like discordant guitars and stuff like that. The score for The Master and There Will Be Blood are very like scary in the way that he like employs these like unnerving strings and these, you know, big crescendos. And yeah, it's weird. This movie, I don't understand how he's doing it, but he keeps getting better, even though he's been in Radiohead for decades and is now like making beautiful soundtracks, but he just is getting better at making music. The score for this movie is like these strings that just send you into heaven. They're so like gorgeous, and they're more like operatic than they are like movie soundtrack. You know what I mean? They sound more like traditional, like classical music.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you just said. Here, it's so blended in with what he was trying to do with the movie. Like the others, it was kind of like of like.
I mean, the opening strings of There Will Be Blood are just like discordant strings that are like, they're like a siren. But in this movie, it's like Beethoven or some shit. Like he's just going for it.
Like if I saw someone in the background like dancing, I would imagine it would fit with like the soundtrack, and that's why it was so perfect.
I will say, and I love this soundtrack to death. I actually think the movie does a disservice to how good the soundtrack is, because if you just listen to the soundtrack on its own, it's sort of unbelievable. Like the movie doesn't use it enough. I almost feel like there's 2 scenes in the movie where like the soundtrack it sort of takes over. But when you listen to the soundtrack on its own, it's kind of an unbelievable piece of music. It blows your mind, like even without the context of the movie. But great soundtrack regardless.
Yeah, if anything, I was going to say I kind of wanted more.
Yes, yeah.
It
I
was
listen
that-
to it on Spotify all the fucking time. It's a great
Okay,
soundtrack.
okay, yeah. I every time I heard it, I was like, oh, this is great, you know. And I don't know, I kind of wanted more.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, back to.
So I wanted. There's a line. There's a lot of lines in this movie. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say because the diner, like, he was going to another like prestigious client was supposedly like right around the area for that diner, and I just want to go and visit.
What is the world he lives in, right? Where he's just like meeting with princesses every day, and like, yeah.
So he goes to this diner, and it's pretty cute seeing. He like, I wish how easy it is for him, you know. And he just gives a couple looks.
He's so charming.
Like she had the name like ready to go after 3 looks.
So I want to set up sort of what the whole movie is doing, which you find out right away when Joanna has her last scene with Reynolds near the end of their little breakup scene or whatever. Because Joanna says, I'm sick of like sitting around waiting for you to fall in love with me again. Is there anything I can do to get your attention back on me? And like, I feel like that sets up everything you need to know about Reynolds. Like, he'll have a girlfriend. It's almost like a trophy thing for him. And then immediately he has to get more focused on his work, and like they cannot bother him or else it's a catastrophe.
Yeah, he's the most particular person. Everything has to go to the T by the book to his schedule.
Sensitive. If anything goes wrong, it ruins his day. When she like starts to talk to him about it, and he's like, "I can't have confrontations before breakfast. It ruins my whole day."
I think right off the bat, I was like, "Oh wow, yeah, I'm committed to this guy."
Exactly. And I love
jerk.
He's so funny to me because something like that will happen. And you just know the rest of his day is ruined. He cannot be saved. He has to restart or whatever. Like he has been so flustered in the beginning of the day by one minor inconvenience that he's just like, the rest of my day won't go well or whatever, you know. And this is what causes him.
That's when you get the funniest lines.
Exactly. Yes.
He's distraught.
And you're just like, this guy's he's such a baby.
Well, let's call him what he is. He's a jerk.
He's absolutely a jerk. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we take off the kid gloves now.
I love him to death, but he is such a little pussy.
Like, baby is sure, he's a little whiny, but first thing, he's a little douchey.
He's a little bit of a monster. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he goes.
But
right,
that's
so
why
he goes off.
But that's why I go even like raise the roof when Cyril lights him up.
Oh, when Cyril, when he tries to step to Cyril, and
she's like, no.
I have to find the quote. Hold on, I have to find the quote. It is,
oh man,
don't you pick a fight with me. You certainly won't come out alive. I'll go right through you, and it'll be you who ends up on the floor. Understood?
Done.
Oh my god.
Done.
You're done.
Mic drop.
What do you say? And the way Leslie Manville delivers that line, it's just like, yep, I do not want to fuck with her.
So this movie was nominated for 9 Oscars.
Yeah, let's talk about the new segment I wanted to do now that you brought up Oscars. We'll get back into the plot in a second, but I have a new segment I want to do, specifically maybe at the last episode of every season.
Okay.
I want to do a little Oscar roundup.
Okay. We can do a little Oscar roundup. This will be the game, since
it's not a game.
Well, I'm saying because I'm not going to know the top grossing of Leslie Manville, you know.
I was gonna make you do it.
I know. I don't really know what thing that she's in.
No, okay, maybe we won't do that. And we don't have to make this into a game, but I made an actual little quick spreadsheet.
Ooh, I love spreadsheets. Love data. Love hard data.
Okay, so I've made a Oscar spreadsheet. And at the end of each season, and we might as well do it now. There's no need to wait till the end of the episode. I want to go over, not in depth at all. I just want to like quick numbers on nominations and wins for all of their movies together.
Okay.
But first, before we do PTA, since we didn't do this in season 1, let's talk about Christopher Nolan's Oscar history.
Okay. A lot of sound Oscars, right?
Right. So he has, I think we covered 11 Christopher Nolan movies, correct? I think he
11.
has 11.
Yeah, 11. This is 8 for Paul Thomas.
Yeah, PTA's only got 8.
Okay.
So Christopher Nolan has a grand total. Just guess nominations. How many he has?
Okay. Christopher Nolan Oscar nominations.
Yep. And I'm talking all, like, not just writing and directing. I'm talking like sound,
Special
cinematography, like
effect.
everything.
Okay. I'm gonna guesstimate a total nominations of I want to say let's go 11.
That's how many he has wins.
Oh wow.
He has 36 Oscar nominations.
Oh, I am so sorry, Nolan. I didn't mean to undercut you right there.
He has 11 Oscar wins across his whole filmography.
Okay.
Now,
how many nominations?
36.
That is way more than I thought.
You got to think, like, The Dark Knight had like 11 or something like that.
Sure.
The thing that he has that fluffs him up is he has all of those technical awards. He gets, like, every time he makes a movie, it's like 2 sound Oscars and visual effects are almost guaranteed. Hans Zimmer's there. He's getting that.
Yeah.
Cinematography usually, like, it's all this stuff. Now
he's like in buffer by default. All right.
Exactly.
That's my boy.
All right.
36
nominations, 11 wins. 11 wins is a lot. Now, I think it was last episode I kind of talked about how Paul Thomas Anderson is weird because his movies don't make money or win awards, and I'm totally right. How many nominations do you think PTA has?
Okay,
he's got 3 less movies than Nolan.
3 less movies.
Yep.
Well, like I just said, Phantom Thread got a decent amount of nominations.
A lot of nominations. Yep.
So I'll just say nominations 14.
25 nominations.
Okay.
Only 3 wins, though.
That's a little weird.
Rude is what I call it. I call it rude.
Because he's gotten so many great performances.
Okay, so he only has 1 winner for an acting performance. Do you want to guess what that is? It's a pretty obvious one, I think.
Well, Tom Cruise got the nomination for Magnolia.
Yeah, never won the gold, though.
He didn't win the gold. That was Icarus. That's as close as he got.
No, I think he got close for Jerry Maguire. I think that's as close as he got.
Okay.
But regardless.
Yeah, I just remember seeing that Frank Mackey monologue. I feel like everywhere, just him going off.
There's only 1 acting win in his whole filmography.
It wasn't Daniel Day-Lewis. It wasn't.
It absolutely was Daniel Day-Lewis.
Oh, for this?
No.
For Phantom Thread?
No.
No,
the other one.
For There Will Be Blood?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought when we did that episode, you said it wasn't. And
no.
It was
the one that we were caught up was The Master.
Okay.
That, like, no one won for The Master, and we were like, what the fuck? So we had to look at that. So yeah, the only acting win in all of PTA's filmography is for Daniel Day-Lewis for There Will Be Blood.
I mean, I think it's the best one of all of them. I'm just gonna come out and say it right now.
I mean, Philip Seymour Hoffman in The Master is a close one. I don't know. That's tough for me.
Oh, see, I thought Phoenix was better in The Master.
I love Phoenix in that movie too. Okay, so the other 2, I'm not going to make you guess because they're not as obvious, but the other 2 wins, because he's only got 3 Academy Award wins in his whole filmography. He won costume design for this movie, which, like you had to, right?
It should.
This movie is about costume design. And then
Robert I'd have to look at the other nominees.
No. I don't know. It's probably like Victor and Abdul or something weird like that. And then Robert Elswit wins cinematography for There Will Be Blood. Those are the only 3 wins. And,
yeah, that's another. But no, I mean,
The Master.
I
know, it's so good looking.
Like that's the like.
Okay.
Oh man! At the end, because we always do our Paul Thomas Anderson rankings at the end of each season.
Ranking, yep.
I can't wait to do those rankings.
I have surprised myself. I will just say I have fully surprised myself in how much.
Excellent. Love a good surprise.
And while we're on the topic of Robert Elswit's cinematography, we're gonna do a double tangent here. We were talking about the plot, then we got on the Oscars. Now we're gonna get onto cinematography off of that. So Elswit did all the cinematography for pretty much every PTA movie from like maybe Magnolia on. I'm not sure. He's done a ton of his movies.
Okay.
He did not do the cinematography for Phantom Thread because he was busy shooting like Roman J. Israel Esquire or Suburbicon or something. Those are the only 2 movies that came out in the same year. So I'm assuming he was just busy doing those, which is a bummer because I don't know, those movies are not very good.
I actually on my page here for this movie, I have a Roman J. Israel note
What is the note?
because I almost used Dan Gilroy as my and Nightcrawler as my well, that's he's done three movies. There's
Hmm.
Nightcrawler, Velvet Buzzsaw, and Roman J. Israel. I
Yeah.
didn't see Velvet Buzzsaw. Anyway, I digress. Maybe I'll use him on a different day.
Do it.
Back to Phantom Thread.
Okay, so back to the cinematography on this movie. So Robert Elswit doesn't do the cinematography on this movie. So who does it? Paul Thomas Anderson. He just says, "Fuck it, I'm just going to shoot the movie myself." He has since said like, "No, it was a collaborative effort. Like I worked with all the cameramen and the lighting men, but
Sure.
at the end of the day, he is the credited cinematographer for his own movie, which is cool. And I think this movie looks maybe better than anything in his filmography aside from The Master. I think this movie looks unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point it's established that his movies just look great. Like
No matter
that,
what, right?
it just comes hand in hand. Like,
Have they ever looked bad? Like even Hard Eight looks fucking good.
yeah, there's plenty of the one shots still. Like,
Yeah.
but no, I just I'm so charmed by the setting. And
I
maybe I'm
know.
a little fancy boy myself because I was right there instantly. Like,
Yeah.
no, you don't disturb me at
No,
breakfast.
you're scraping your butter too loudly.
Well, like I've already been disturbed. You can't take the disturbance back.
Oh, that's another great line. The
Are
tea
you
is leaving. The interruption is staying right here with me.
unreal?
Oh my God. What a sick burn.
Oh my god, I want to use that. Like
This movie is brutal.
honestly, there was a few quotes where I was like, I got to write that down and use that every day because that is just too good, you know.
So the last thing I wanted to say about the cinematography. So PTA shoots it himself. It looks fucking incredible. And then I think last year Robert Elswit was interviewed about like his collaboration with PTA, and he was just like, "Yeah, I don't like the way that movie looks," which I think is so funny that he was just very candid and is like, "Yeah, he just threw a bunch of smoke in the room, and I think it looks, I don't know. I don't think I would have shot it that way," which is funny because the movie looks so good.
I gotcha.
Anyways, we'll put a pin in that. I think we're all done talking about the cinematography for now because
We can both agree it looked gorgeous.
yeah, it's a fucking great looking movie. Paul Thomas Anderson shooting his own movie, A1, A+, loved it. Let's keep talking about the plot though. So we're getting away from the first scene finally. So he goes to the countryside, and apparently he just goes here to like clear his mind or something. He has like a hotel he goes to, and he orders a really big breakfast.
The biggest.
From Alma, and she leaves him a message that says, "For the hungry boy," which immediately like they're totally into each other.
Yeah, hungry boy. She writes it all down, and he asks to take the order back.
Yeah, he wants the chip.
He's like, yeah, because and he asks her if she'll remember it.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I don't know, because I've been a server, and I was like,
yeah, you have.
Yeah, someone was like, "Can I get that order back?" Be like, "No."
He's flirting. That's what that is.
Sure.
He reads her handwriting and like lovingly looks at her and is like,
oh no, his game is turned up to 10 in this scene.
Oh, yeah. Like it's funny because when we first meet him, he's so fussy and annoying. And then you meet him in this scene where he's hitting on Alma. And like, yeah, dude's just got swag coming out of his ears. Like he knows what he's doing.
Wasn't it? What's the year? Is it the 50s?
I think it's the 50s it's set in.
Okay.
Yeah.
50s London.
Yes, somewhere in London. I don't know. This is the first time he's like left California, I think. PTA. Aside from The Master, I think some of that was like New York, but that's not true because Hard Eight's also Las Vegas and Reno. Never mind, I'm wrong. I don't know what I'm talking about. Most of his movies are LA based though.
Sure.
So he finally goes to fucking London. And so they go on their first date. This is when you learn that like Reynolds sews secrets into the lining of his dresses, which is so charming and romantic. You're like, I want to fuck this guy. Like, what's he talking about? We also learn in this scene that he is the world's biggest mama's boy, and that is maybe the second defining trait of him is he's very fussy and he's a big mama's boy.
Right, because his mother died. Their mother.
Yes, who like taught him his trade, and he sews a strand of his mother's hair into all of his suits to keep her near his heart.
Yeah, I think he's a little traumatized.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but also he's so like, I don't know. I don't feel like, I feel the trauma he must feel. It's just like, yeah, I don't know. You're probably were always rich, always made dresses. Like you're just mad that your mother died.
I only say traumatized because spoiler alert, later on he sees an image of her.
The best scene in the movie.
Well, we'll get to it.
Yes, we fucking
but
will.
no, this I don't even know if it's the first date. It's kind of like
It's the first.
it's a weird relationship because she kind of works for him also.
It is a very weird relationship. The first date is they actually do go get dinner, and that's when he tells her, like, he has to see a picture of her mother and tells her to like always keep a picture of her mother with her, and that's their first actual date. And then they get in a car, and there's this really cool shot where the camera is like mounted right to the windshield, and they're like driving quickly through these little streets. It's a really good shot of them driving and like giggling and having fun. And then he takes her to his like workshop, right? And this is the like where he takes her measurements and starts to make her a dress.
This is where it doesn't become a date. This is more like, I don't know, he's even like throwing shade at like, you have no breasts.
Okay, so this whole scene is where the entire dynamic of the movie is like formed, because you have them starting to like flirt, and he's like, oh, I want to make a dress, or he's like, I want to take your measurements, and it's kind of romantic. Then Cyril shows up. It's romantic before Cyril shows up. It is, because like he like puts the two shades of like green on her, and he's like, yes, this looks very lovely, and like you can see why she wants to like definitely get down with him. Then Cyril shows up. Cyril comes in like the Terminator, like no emotion at all. Immediately takes like a notebook, and he's like, okay, you're gonna take the measurements down. He starts measuring Alma. It's great. I'm loving all this.
Yeah, this is when I couldn't look away at this point, because I'm like, what? This
whole movie is a power dynamic between these three people. It's these three people they keep positioning for power over whatever's going on, and it all starts here because Cyril's in the background taking the numbers with like no emotion on her face. Reynolds is measuring her, and then Reynolds says to Alma, stand normally, and she kind of gives him like some attitude. And he's like, just stand normally like you did before. And she's like, well, that's not what you said. And then he backs up and like gives her this look like, bitch, what did you just say to me? And then he goes forward, and the next thing he says to her is, you have no breasts. So she gives him a little bit of lip. And the next thing he says is like, I'm going to take away like any kind of goodwill you have towards yourself by telling you have no breasts. And then he immediately backs that up by complimenting her for it. Like the mind games he's playing with her is like, you have no breasts. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, no, that's okay. It's my job to give you some. You're perfect. It's like he's negging her.
It's a little manipulative right there.
Oh, it's super manipulative. Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. But I don't know. Like, it's just like, it's like a fencing match between the three of them where you're like, oh, they're just making these little moves, or like a chess match. You know, they keep dancing around each other and saying these terrible things. Oh, the measurement scene is incredible to me.
Like, I mean, that, you know me, like, give me Arnold in the Jungle.
Wait,
7 out of 7.
What's happening?
Give me Schwarzenegger in the jungle fighting a predator any day of the week. But for some reason, I was just as entertained watching freaking Reynolds Woodcock. So like just going about his business, just the way he's so precise. He's
giving,
like, I don't know. I got the feeling that he was like a baller dressmaker. And you know, I don't know. You would never, if you put the storyline on paper, it's like, it's not, this is more type of like the artsy, it's a little more.
Yeah, this is the kind of movie I like typically watch. Yes.
Right.
I like this kind of stuff.
Not much happens in the movie besides.
Sure. Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. That's how captivating these performances are. But I thought all three leads were just incredible to the point where I was just as entertained. Brings me back to
so what you're saying is like, even though this is typically not the kind of movie like you love, like this is not your wheelhouse,
not at all.
You're saying this movie is so good it's able to like totally surpass that, and still like you're like, I'm all in.
I'm trying to as far as like entertainment goes, I was thoroughly entertained watching the measurement scene, watching anytime he's crafting a dress at all. I was like, look at this dude go. Like,
I don't think you realize how happy that makes me, because I have to bring something up that you might not remember. You and I used to work together.
Yes.
Long ago.
I remember that.
The trailer. Okay. Oh. Yes. I hope so. We worked together for like a year. I hope you remember that. But the trailer for this movie dropped, and I was so excited for it. And I remember you watched it and you were like, wow, looks like Daniel Day-Lewis is going out on a real snoozer. Like you were like, this movie looks fucking boring. So
I
for
do.
you to
I remember
say,
saying that.
and I was like, okay, rude, but I get it. But like, for you to say that this movie entertained you so much makes me so happy that you like came around and like really loved it.
Well, there were. I'm not going to say there weren't parts that dragged a little bit.
Sure, yeah.
Because like I said, not a lot happens in this movie.
Right, when the action of the movie is like two people talking at a higher volume.
That's it.
There are going to be some lulls. Yeah, I understand.
You get that. Okay.
Totally.
But
I totally
for the most part, when they did start going back and forth and they started arguing, yeah, I was thoroughly entertained.
Vicious.
But I was entertained just with the craftsmanship and just the subject. I was just down. And give me fancy. When in doubt, make it fancy. That's the Nolan recipe right there.
Sure, throw a suit on it.
Give me a suit.
I think any movie like this where you're dealing with like a master craftsman and like the movie is able to successfully display how much of a genius they are, I think no matter what the trade is, you're going to be a little bit invested.
Absolutely.
The movie could have been about like this movie could have been about like a professional landscaper who's so fucking good at mowing the lawn you won't even believe how good the fucking lawn looks, and I would still be like, yeah, this is the most entertaining thing of the year.
Well, no, you're talking about the Pierce Brosnan classic, The Lawnmower Man, and that's great.
Yes, of course, that's what I was referring to.
No,
this is obvious. This movie is obviously an homage to The Lawnmower Man.
Reynolds' Woodcock is to crafting as Daniel Day-Lewis is to acting.
Yeah. It's like a perfect match.
And that's why I think I was just like, wow.
So let's burn through some more of this fucking plot. So he takes the measurements. You're starting to see the dynamics. You're starting to see like Cyril is like the master of the house. Reynolds is like this fussy genius, and Vicky Creeps, who plays Alma, is coming in as like the new love interest, and she's got some sort of ambition to her. You can tell, like she's not. I think as soon as you see her sort of talk back to him in the measurement scene, you know that she's not the kind of person who's going to be like, "Oh, I'm so amazed by you. Like anything you say, master." She kind of gave him some lip. She has a little bit more agency than Joanna did in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, she's not a pushover. You can see that right off the bat.
Yeah,
but she's also, I don't know. She's I feel like she knows like the life that he has. Like I always got this in the back of my mind, like she should have left. Like nobody in there.
Yes,
like nobody wants to put up with how he treats people, but I feel like with that glamorous lifestyle, she just puts on a strong face. Obviously they're in love, so
yeah. Well, let's get into
we got to get there.
We got to get to the next big set piece for me, which is right after all this happens. You start to see they're still flirty, but the prickliness of Reynolds is starting to like come to the forefront for her. Like right after this, you get the tea interruption, which is, like I said, one of those biting insults in any movie. And Barbara's wedding is like the next big set piece. So I don't know who Barbara is. She's some kind of fancy socialite. She's like an older woman, and she's getting married to some like Dominican Republican guy. None of this really matters. It's
another super fancy dress that he has to make for Barbara, because he gives her the lip like, I've made her.
No. That's the princess later. That's the French princess.
That's the big
later.
one. That's the big one. Yeah.
This is the before that. This is like
what he is pissed. He does not want to go to this wedding.
He doesn't want to go to the wedding. And Cyril, like, I love that scene because Cyril, in the beginning of the morning during breakfast.
Oh, this is the green dress.
It's the weird dress that has like that fold up front to it.
Yeah, they got to go get it back after.
Yes, that's the scene I wanted to get to. But like, Cyril tells him that he's invited to the wedding, and he just immediately goes like, "What am I supposed to do with that?" He like doesn't even want to be bothered with the possibility of having to go to a wedding. He's so particular. So he makes this dress for Barbara.
Then she says that they're one of the biggest backers for them. That's where a lot of their funding.
She pays for the house that they.
Yeah.
So he has to go. So they go to the wedding. Barbara is drunk out of her fucking mind, and she ends up going and like passing out in the dress. And Alma is visibly upset, and Reynolds is like annoyed, and he's like, "Don't cry." and he totally misreads her. And she's like, I'm not crying, I'm angry. Like, she shouldn't be wearing this beautiful dress you made her. She doesn't deserve it. So they go up to the room to get the dress back. They find out that Barbara's passed out in the dress. And Alma goes in, gets the dress back. And this is when you know Alma is like fucking fully in, because she turns to like the housemaid and she's like, it's none of our business what this woman does, but she cannot behave like this while wearing a dress from the House of Woodcock. And she like leaves like she's a fucking ambassador.
Yeah, it's a great scene. And you
And
get a funny yeah.
Well, the next scene, like right after that, is Reynolds and her walking down the road. He's got the dress draped over his shoulder, and he like spins her around and pulls her into her, and they start kissing, and like the score like starts sweeping up. Like the most romantic thing. Yeah, the most romantic thing they could have done was that, which is like so funny to me.
Yeah, it's one of the better scenes to me. Like, I loved everything about, like, from the how it started with like him just being annoyed and like just I know, and then it culminates with like that funny noise the lady makes as she's sleeping. That's a funny yell. I'm gonna take one more shot at hearing Vice.
Christ,
that's a funny yell. So
brutal. So this is all starting to build and build and build. You're getting like their romance is starting to build a little bit more. She's becoming more ingrained in like the entire operation. She's starting to help with like the modeling.
Yeah, is that the night that they go to the rooms together? Like in celebratory,
because they have separate rooms that are right next to each other. And after they kiss in the street, I think the next scene is like, I think I don't know is that when he says I love you? Because I think one of them says I love you in that scene. I can't remember which one. And then
they scamper off and close.
And they go back into the same room, and you're like, oh yeah, we know what's going on in that room. She's getting that woodcock.
Okay, I was waiting for it.
Whew, had to get there.
I think the very next morning, he's like already like
pissy.
Yeah, like he's already
he cannot,
over it.
Yes, he cannot be happy. Yeah, but
it just speaks volumes about this whole thing. Like why, like we just said, they're sleeping in separate bedrooms. He's always a dick to her.
Yeah,
like why is she doing this? But it's like I don't know.
You're gonna learn in a minute. Like I think the whole reason that she stays is like the next big set piece. So he gets well, actually no, we already have learned this. He gets upset, I believe, over the invitation to the wedding, and this is when she explains, a lot of the time he's a lot to deal with. He's hard. He's, kind of a dick, but sometimes he'll get very upset, and that's when he becomes like really tender and emotional, and she's able to like take care of him, and that totally plays into his whole like obsession with his mother. Like he wants to be babied, and she like loved the opportunity to be that close to him. I think that's the scene before the wedding, is he gets like pissed off about something, and like she takes care of him, and that's why they're together.
Yeah, I mean, half this movie is him getting pissed off at something.
Yeah, I know. So the next day, or the next scene, is Alma wants to surprise him with dinner, and Cyril is like, yo, that's a fucking bad idea. Like, there's a lot going on right now. You should not surprise him with dinner. And Alma's like, okay, well, I'm doing it. And the dinner scene is on par with
doesn't go as planned for Alma.
Doesn't go great. This dinner scene for me is on par with the milkshake scene from There Will Be Blood with Daniel Day-Lewis's performance. I think like he is just throwing straight fucking heat in this scene. And what's even more impressive is I think Vicky Krieps, who's essentially a newcomer to the acting world of Hollywood, goes toe to toe with him. I don't like, he's a veteran, like thespian master, like 3-time Academy Award winner. And Vicky Krieps is at this point has been in like nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know her from anything.
Going toe to toe with him.
This is the best scene of the movie.
This scene's incredible. Yeah, I'll say as far as like the set pieces go, like this is the best scene of the movie. Yeah,
everything. It
just goes so poorly.
The dialogue is so good, and he just kills it. I know she's most of acting is reacting, so she's playing off him, and she's just
so good,
and he's just teeing off. So it's like, oh man,
she's so excellent, unbelievably upset.
Well, as she should be, like, because who would put up with this guy?
No,
she goes like, there's like the more the movie went, the less I felt.
Where's your gun? Show me your gun.
I love less. Like, you have no gun. Like,
the best line I think of that entire like exchange between the two of them is when he says, "Are you a secret agent sent here to ruin my night or perhaps my whole life?" Like, he's just so ugh. And then right after this is when Alma has had enough.
I wanted to write down lines, but I was like, no, it goes on for 5 minutes, it's the whole thing.
It would be a novella, yeah. So this is when Alma is like, I'm done, and she poisons him for the first time. So she goes out and she gets these poisonous mushroom and like shaves it into his tea.
Yeah, and while he's like got a room full of his little handmaidens or whatever.
He's reviewing the wedding dress he's going to give to this like the French princess
wedding dress. It's got to be perfect. This is huge one. This is one of the biggest one of the movie.
It's definitely the most important one in the movie. Yeah.
And Alma is actually, you see a little bit of jealousy because
Alma steps to the princess.
What even before that, because you see him kind of like I don't know, just smiling, just I don't know how is he treating the princess there? He's like, so
they're very familiar because he's made dresses for her whole life, as he says.
Yeah, but she doesn't know this at that point. She just notices how, because she questions him like, oh, you're going to make her wedding dress, like,
yeah, and he just of course comes back with like
of course sassy, like, of course I've made every single, and he lists them
what
off.
Kind of fucking dumb question is that?
Like, you moron, you scum, you piece of trash, how dare you ask me that dumb question?
It's so good. So he passes out on the wedding dress and like ruins it, like scuffs it, rips the lace, and he's like sick. And I think this is
for the rest of the movie, his workers pretty much work tirelessly to repair those little,
like overnight they have to work.
Like nonstop.
This is like the big turn in the movie, which is Alma has poisoned Reynolds. Now he's sick and he's exactly where she wants him to be, which is he's tender. This is the line at the end of the movie. She wants him on his back, helpless, tender, open.
Sure, and I want a toilet made of solid gold, but it ain't in the cards, baby. Like,
but this is their relationship now. Is she poisons him, takes care of him. He loves it.
Not just a poison. This is where I said it benefited me, because he was near death. He's seeing images of his mom who's been dead.
Okay, can we talk about the fucking vision of the mother? It is exactly my kind of shit. Like, the first time I saw this movie, I was like, oh, this is why I like movies. Like, this scene is why I like the entire medium of filmed art. It's him, like, the whole scene is like bathed in red, and he's like delirious on the bed, sort of in and out of consciousness, and he just sees this vision of his mother. The music is haunting behind him. Like, Johnny Greenwood's score is doing like the most sad violin shit in the world, and he just like deliriously talks to his mother about how he misses her and how he like wakes up with tears streaming down his face. And then Vicky Creeps comes into the room, and like the mother is gone because it's a fucking apparition. It doesn't have anything to do with the movie. It's just like, look at this. Like, it was beautiful. That scene is beautiful.
Yeah, it's a great scene.
I fucking love it. I just love that scene.
No, it's a great scene because you see her walk in front of the ghost.
Yeah.
Without noticing, and that's how you're like, oh yeah, this is.
Yeah, she's not there, obviously. Yeah, it's a vision. So the next morning that he wakes up, we also should say that Cyril calls a doctor and he tells the doctor to fuck off, and it's great. And Alma says, I believe he asked you to fuck off.
Yeah, the whole power dynamic pretty much is in Alma's favor now because Cyril's left.
Yep.
She actually, I never counted Cyril's part of that dynamic.
Oh, she's totally part of it. She wants to rule everything. No.
That's why my very first note is that she's got the gravy job, because she just sits back and just makes sure he does the work.
Sure. I feel like
she's so good playing Alfred,
Sure. She's like sassy Alfred. But I think the scene that, like, there's a couple scenes where I feel like Cyril feels threatened by Alma is where I'm at. Because the scene where like they go to leave Daniel Day-Lewis to rest, and Cyril's like, come on, Alma. And Alma walks with her, and then she closes the door behind Cyril.
Yeah.
And you can see Cyril's like, oh, fuck. Like, am I losing my power here? That's how I feel about it.
See, I feel like there was no way. She had lost the power by that point.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, Cyril ends up losing all the power, yes, because Alma and
I don't think that's the thing. I never thought she had
interesting.
no, it's Reynolds' show.
It's definitely the Reynolds and Alma show, but I do feel like
if Reynolds wanted Cyril to do something, Cyril's gonna do it.
yeah, but she's got that fucking loaded gun where she's just like, I will cut you down if you fucking say a word to me.
Yeah,
and you know she means it.
That means I'll do what you're saying, but don't give me lip while you're telling me to do it. Like, don't tell me to do it in a sassy way. I'm still gonna do it, but
love it. I love that shit.
Yeah.
Also, I really love. I don't know. I didn't notice this for some reason the first time I watched the movie, but while Reynolds is sick and Alma goes downstairs to help start repairing the dress, she starts to like work on the dress and she unfurls one of the threads and she pulls out a note that he stitched into the wedding dress that says "Never cursed." And I don't know why, but I like swooned when that happened. I was like, what a sweet thing for him to stitch into this princess's wedding dress. Never cursed.
Yeah, I didn't really get that whole thing.
He stitches shit into his dresses as like a spiritual exercise or like.
No, I like
as,
that. I'm
a
down with that.
thing.
But why she tore it out?
Well, I don't think she tore it out like viciously. I think she was like trying to fix that part of the dress, and like it. It didn't come off to me that she was like doing
purposely.
It maliciously. Yeah, it felt like it just came out while she was working on it, or she felt it and wanted to see what it was.
Oh, see, I totally got that. Like she took it out. She just had a beef with the princess or something. I don't know. There's a little subplot there.
Yeah, she definitely had a beef with the princess.
Well, I just didn't get that whole thing. Why she tore it out? I was like, no, he put that in there for a reason.
I feel like, I don't know. I'd have to rewatch that. I didn't get like a malicious energy from her in that, but whatever. So the next morning he wakes up, he's feeling much better. He goes to Alma, who's sleeping on the couch. He tells her he loves her and he wants to marry her. Like what she just did is exactly what he fucking wanted. He wanted someone to cut him down to size, to make him vulnerable, and to take care of him like a little baby, because he's a little fussy baby boy.
Oh, I got like the worst I got so mad at this scene.
Really?
So mad.
I think
I'm like, no,
maybe.
She just like, don't do like, because I'm like, oh, don't do it, Reynolds. Don't do it. Like,
but do you still feel that way at the end of the movie where he knowingly is eating the mushrooms now and he knowingly is like engaging? And
well, are we jumping right to it?
We're pretty close, like plot wise.
Okay, so the big scene at the end.
I'll build the bridge to the end.
Okay,
they go on their little skiing honeymoon and things start to just get worse again. He starts to become more and more of an asshole.
He doesn't like her.
He does, though.
He does not like her. He likes her in times of stress when when he thinks he's gonna die and when he's at his lowest point. Sure, but all the rest of the time, day-to-day life, he does not like her. He doesn't like anyone. That's my other note.
Well, no, he definitely doesn't like anyone.
Boy. He's a mean boy.
I think it's just so much more complicated than like he doesn't like her flat out. Like it doesn't happen immediately. Like they get married, they go on their honeymoon, it's kind of sweet, and then like they start to go to parties again. He starts to get a little bit more sassy. It's like a decorative thing, and then she poisons him again, and he like knows it at this point. And he looks at her and gives her this wry, knowing look. Like,
well, that's not he. Like you mentioned they go to parties. He doesn't like going to parties with her.
He doesn't like going to parties.
This is what I was. Yeah, well, that's what. It's to the point where she's so obnoxious to him, she can't even eat toast in the morning without him getting mad. That's how much she annoys her.
Or she annoys him, you mean?
Yeah, that's how much she annoys him.
But the next time we see her buttering her toast, she's doing it very quietly. You might not have noticed it, but there's a scene where they're at breakfast later, and he's like drawing his little fashion stuff.
No, we're not rewarding his manipulative.
No, okay.
Glances.
This is a movie about a toxic relationship, and that's just what it is. But yeah, I don't think he like dislikes her. I just think he needs to be brought down. Like she even says it. He just needs to slow down every now and then.
This is exactly what I would imagine Paul Thomas Anderson thinking what love is. Just like,
so perfect segue. This is how this movie came to be. Paul Thomas Anderson gets very, very sick one day, and he's laying in bed, and his wife Maya Rudolph is looking at him, and he says that she is looking at him with like this loving look that he hasn't seen on her face in like a long time. And then the next morning when he felt better, he called Daniel Day-Lewis and was like, dude, I have a great idea for a movie. So he's literally...
Of course that's how this came about.
So yes, I mean, literally the genesis of this movie.
Credit to Maya
Rudolph. Absolutely. Okay. The legend.
We love her.
We love Maya Rudolph. Oh, okay. I guess I'll just not talk for the rest of the podcast. Go ahead. So yeah, I mean, she poisons him at the end, and he knows it, and she tells him, like,
let's not undercut this build to like him slowly, the looks on his face when and she's not saying anything, and we know, and then she puts it in front of him. She's got this freaking... Oh, and that's another thing. At one point, she was a freaking villain. Like the first time she poisons him, and he's sick.
She's not a villain.
Listen. When he's in agony and he's near death to the point where he's seeing his mother's ghost, there's a smile on her face.
Yeah, because she's taking care of him. He's tender and open with her. That's literally the whole point. She doesn't want him to die. She even says it to him. She's like, "You're not going to die." That's not like... She's like, you might wish that you're going to die, but you're not going to die.
I don't know. You play with poisons. I don't know.
I mean, sure, but like, yeah, I don't think that she ever wanted to kill him, especially like when he actually does get sick the first time, and she doesn't actually know the extent to which he's sick. She does seem pretty like concerned right away, and then she kind of figures out she could take care of him, and he gets really open with her, and that's the whole point of their relationship.
No,
after this movie,
reading it a little different than me.
Yeah, probably. But after this movie, when this movie ends, they're going to spend the rest of their lives together, and she's going to continue to poison him, and he's going to be cool with it, and they're going to fucking just keep this going forever. She even has like that whole dream sequence at the end
until she accidentally gives him too much.
Sure, that might happen,
and he will die.
Yeah, that might happen.
I
think this movie's lovely.
How? I mean, can anyone? What he's going to put himself through, and what she's going to put herself through, it shouldn't happen.
Yeah, but it does.
Oh man, that's the PTA twist right there. It's because this should not happen, this relationship. This may be, man. I don't know. He shouldn't, I don't know. He just shouldn't be with anyone. He's just a jerk. And
yeah, he's a monster for sure. Okay, anything else you want to talk about with the plot of this thing? I think the ending's great, where she says, like, I can imagine a future with him. We have a child, but things are going to be hard, so I'm just going to keep poisoning him. And then like the last scene is like him like about to be on the toilet, and he's like, you should probably leave, and then she leaves. And
yeah, I mean, that's after he knowingly put the piece of food in his mouth. I was just like, what?
This is going to be their weird, fucked up thing. He is going to be vicious and mean to her, and in retaliation, she is going to poison him to bring him down to size, and that is how they are going to meet an equilibrium to where they can have a happy relationship. Is it good? It ain't good. No, but that's just what it is.
You get a healthy equilibrium with someone else.
Yeah, heck, yeah, absolutely. But that's not what this movie's about.
Oh my goodness gracious. That I don't know, that little bit did it just a little bit for me, put it right over the edge. Just took everything. I was down. I was right there.
Oh, I love it.
I'll go right into my rating with it.
Oh, okay, go for it.
Because of that, really, it brought it down to a 4 stars.
It's another 5-star for me. I think this is... I'm glad that we like this movie together.
4 stars isn't bad. That's an A+. No, as far as my grades go.
Yeah, 4 stars good. Yeah, this is just another masterpiece from my boy. I do think that the things, at least at the end of this movie, it's another Inherent Vice thing, where the things that you're complaining about and don't like are the things that I'm like, that's why it's perfect.
I mean, I had a lot working for it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we didn't really talk enough about Vicky Creeps. I don't know. She's just, do you agree with me that she's like totally standing her own ground? She does not feel like the amateur actor in this movie at all. Any scene she has with him, I do not feel like she is out of her element. She is like showing up. She knows who she came to play with, and she is just going toe to toe.
Yeah, she did exactly what she was supposed to do.
Yeah.
You know, I would like to see her in a more like fun role next,
well,
you know.
maybe that's a good segue into us announcing. Oh no, let's do our PTA ranking first.
PTA rankings. Okay.
So,
so I do, before we put a bow on this, I do want to say that my favorite character in the movie I had written down was Reynolds, obviously, and I crossed him out and put Cyril after he started poisoning
Cyril's
himself.
great. Cyril's so good.
Yeah, she's great.
I love Reynolds. Reynolds is my favorite, but yeah, I mean,
okay.
Cyril's the bomb. Well, go ahead. Let me hear the PTA ranking. We're gonna go through. Go from last place to first. Let's hear it.
Okay, you want to alternate? Like I'll do my eighth
go ahead.
place.
Just do all yours, and then I'll do all mine.
Are you sure? Okay. Well, in eighth place, I have Inherent Vice, 2 stars. I'm sorry.
It hurts.
Hey, same with Tenet, 2 stars. Ironically, so 2 is the and 2 is, and honestly, I've like 2s are. I feel like I've seen a lot of decent 2s.
Oh, don't worry. Next season, we're going way below 2 stars.
Yes. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, we're teeing it up. Go ahead. So number 8, Inherent Vice, rude. Okay.
Yeah, number 7, I got Boogie Nights at even keel 3 out of 5. Number 6, we have Hard 8 at 3.5.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
Yes. Number 5, I have Magnolia, also at 3.5.
This is all starting to make sense now.
Number 4, I have Phantom Thread with 4 stars.
Okay.
Because it's freaking Daniel Day-Lewis. It's just,
yeah, you can't deny it.
It's just this is where I'm sorry. You know what? It's number 3 is There Will Be Blood, 5 stars.
Okay.
Number 2 is The Master at 5 stars.
Okay.
And number 1 is Punk Drunk Love with 5 stars.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's just everything. The stars aligned with not only is just everything. You got the performances, you got the gorgeousness, you got the soundtrack, you got the comedy works with Sandler. It's just everything is firing on all cylinders with that movie. It's a modern fairy tale, and everyone should go see it right now.
Absolutely. All right, you ready for my rating? My ranking?
Let me have
okay, so here's my PTA ranking. I fully surprised myself. I'm just letting you know this is a shock to me.
You know what? For the next season, I'm gonna write down what I think yours are also.
Ooh, that's fascinating. Okay.
Bingo, bango. All right, let me have it.
All right, number 8, Boogie Nights.
Okay.
Number 7.
So it was 7 for me, 8 for you. Okay.
Yeah.
Number 7. That's at the bottom.
Yeah. Number 7, Hard 8.
Okay.
Number 6, Magnolia.
Oh.
Number 5, Inherent Vice. Okay. So that was pretty easy for me, honestly, when I was making my ranking. The bottom. So
we both had the same top 4.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Exactly. The bottom 4 was really easy for me to put in order. Now the problem with my top 4, they're all 5-star movies for me.
Yeah. So now it becomes this is my favorite part.
This was so hard for me to like pick, what goes in front of what.
This is why I do this podcast. This is my favorite part.
The ranking. Yeah, absolutely.
The ranking is
okay. So number 4.
To have you decide between 4 5-star movies of your favorite director. This is what I live for.
This is brutal. Number 4, There Will Be Blood.
What?
I agree. I was also shocked.
What?
Number 3, Phantom Thread.
Wow.
Number 2.
Never ever would I imagine you'd swap those 3 and 4.
Number 2. And this is, you ready for it? The Master. Number 1, Punch Drunk Love. Yeah, baby.
Virtual high five.
I honestly, I just couldn't. The whole time we were doing this season, I got to Punch Drunk Love. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Punch Drunk Love, there's just things about that movie that I can't get out of my head that work on such a creative, explosive level. That, There Will Be Blood is obviously
like cries and puts his hands in his.
Oh my God, There Will Be Blood is obviously like an American masterpiece. I love it, but it does not make me feel the way that Punch Drunk Love does, and I did not expect that. I had not. Punch Drunk Love was near the bottom of my ranking when we started this season. It was like probably number 5.
Oh,
and
man.
Just going through it again, I was like, no, this is number 1. This is his best movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's a work of art.
It truly is, and it's explosive. I love it.
And even it even has those little colorful segues. Like
I'm telling you, it's everything to me.
And it's just enough. You got Sandler kicking the glass.
Oh, you get everything.
Yes, all right. You get everything.
All All right, we got a
Oh,
couple
you
more
get
things.
Philip Seymour Hoffman raging.
I know you get everything.
You get everything. You get everything.
You know what did it? You know what did it for me? There is a specific moment that I talked
when
about
he yells at the sister on the phone when he finally lets her have it. Oh,
it's actually the catharsis of him hearing Lena on the phone after that.
And they're so excited.
That's the scene that did it. Like followed by them kissing. Like
I just
that
got
whole
goosebumps.
That whole scene is like, I was just like, yeah, I'm sorry. There's nothing better than this in this whole filmography.
Oh,
this is it.
Wow.
Okay. Anyways, yeah. So we both agree Punch Drunk Love number one. Amazing.
That is crazy.
Okay. So we got a couple of things we got to wrap up here. We're not going to play the game. I'm not going to make you guess like Vicky Creep's top 5 movies. So
I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I think you could do Leslie Manville, but you just wouldn't know that she was in any of the movies, and you probably haven't seen any of them.
You'd have to. Yeah, you'd have to play.
It'd be
Kid Gloves.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we'll skip that. But how about any before we announce season 3? How about any upcoming movies?
Any upcoming movies? Yes. It kind of plays on what I started the episode with. I don't even know if it's going to be in the episode, but I was talking about the slasher genre.
Yeah, I'll figure that out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually the sequel to Dan McBride's retcon Halloween. It's bringing back Jamie Lee Curtis. It's called Halloween Kills.
Halloween Kills. Yes.
And I think this time Michael Myers has a nice crispy burnt up face mask, a little partial. And the reboot from, I think it was like 2018, 2019.
2018,
yeah. It was great.
It made $7 billion. It made so much money.
A refreshing breath of air to the slasher genre, and it's great being scared again. And I was scared. And Dan McBride, the co-writer, funny script. The director, he wrote it with David Gordon Green, like he did with the first one.
Yep.
And Jamie Lee Curtis is just awesome. The original Scream Queen.
Right.
Well,
right.
Could you say Janet Leigh from Psycho? Whatever. I think Jamie Lee Curtis from
Jamie
Halloween.
Lee Curtis. Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Yeah, it's great. So I'm excited for it, and I think it's gonna. I mean, we'd probably release it around Halloween.
I'm
right?
assuming it's probably going to come out like late September, October.
And you said you didn't see the.
Did not see it. No.
Oh man.
Got to get on it.
Did you see the original Halloween?
No, I haven't seen any Halloweens.
Okay. All right. So we have some work to do, but very excited, and it's gonna be great. Judy Greer is also.
Hey, Judy Greer, probably playing like the 4th lead.
She's Jamie Strode's or Laurie Strode's daughter.
Yeah, right, exactly. Judy Greer she's
Karen
incredible.
Strode.
Oh God, amazing! I love Judy Greer. Love Judy Greer so much.
Oh no, I was gonna say, well, because you know what, I'll let you see it. Don't worry, just
all right.
If you haven't seen it, get to it.
All right.
What are you excited for?
My upcoming movie that I'm excited for. No surprise at all, but I did see a new still. Not a still. It was like a production photo. Someone snapped a picture behind the scenes of them filming. Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon. I can't fucking wait for this movie. I mean, it's Martin Scorsese. He's only made like 2 bad movies in his entire career, and I just love him. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. And like, I really love all the late period shit he's been doing. It's way more meditative and like reflective and a lot slower, but I think it's a good thing. Anyways, this movie's got Leonardo DiCaprio and Jesse Plemons in the lead roles, and someone snapped a pic of them like filming, and Jesse Plemons is wearing like a really big cowboy hat because this movie's a Western, and I'm just like ready for that. I'm ready to see Jesse Plemons in like a fucking 10-gallon hat.
Yeah, I mean, you had me at Plemons, but
yeah, Plemons rules.
No, for the longest time, I thought Leo was doing like a killer movie with Scorsese.
The movie's called Killers of the Flower Moon. It's a Western.
No, this is supposedly. I thought it was a long time ago. This might be very old rumor, but it's supposedly like an actual serial killer that Scorsese was doing. Leo. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, this is what they're doing. Maybe it's like a Western serial killer movie. I don't know.
Did you like the last thing Scorsese did?
The Irishman?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like one of my favorite movies of the year. I fucking loved it.
I really liked it. It was a little long for me. So
here's my hot take on the runtime of that movie is it's not long enough. I want more. Give me like 2 more hours of that shit. I fucking loved it.
Okay.
It's a joke. The movie's 3.5 hours long. It's plenty long. I honestly don't like that movie flies by when I watch it. It does not feel like 3.5 hours.
Yeah. I thought obviously the big 3 performances were great.
Incredible.
Yeah, I mean Pacino as Hoffa, like give
Come
me
on.
more of that
Come
all
on.
day, you know.
Yeah, no, I love
Scorsese's great. I honestly thought you were gonna do a little Jordan Peele because that poster came up.
Nope.
Maybe that'll be next one.
Yeah, more like yep. That's
Time to reveal our season 3 director.
Season 3. So that's going to be the format is you're going to pick a director, then I'm going to pick a director, and then we'll just go back and forth. I picked Paul Thomas Anderson. Why don't you go ahead and make the announcement for who we're doing with season 3?
So season 1, I did my favorite director. Season 2, you did your favorite director. Naturally, it would be my second favorite director. This is not my second favorite director.
No, I would not imagine.
No,
but you picked him.
I picked him because I thought he has a movie coming out this summer, which would make it fun to cover and be, I don't know, just he does have some good movies, but I know he has some down movies. The director is M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh, you don't know what you're getting into, Brent. I just want to let you know you don't know what you're getting into. We'll get into it on the first episode. I don't know why you picked him. I can't wait to hear why, but you don't know what you're getting into picking M. Night Shyamalan. I have so much to say about M. Night Shyamalan.
In my thought process for choosing director, I wanted with Nolan and PTA, it's like going to the well. It's like,
yes,
we're never gonna, besides like the last, like ironically enough, I gave the newest movies of both directors their lowest scores. So
no, because you gave
right.
Yeah.
Phantom Thread.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? That's an old thought. That was an old thought before this episode.
Gotcha.
But yeah, no, M. Night Shyamalan movies, they run the gauntlet of for me, very good, and for most people, very bad. Oh, you know what? Yeah, for me, very bad too. There is one I just thought of.
There's a couple, bud. Yeah, when I said that we're going to be going below 2 stars, I meant it. But yeah, you don't know what you're getting into with this. I'm going to have to be going off. I'm going to be going off on some tangents, just so you know. And my Shyamalan is a very important director to me. I think it's going to be a fun season because I'm very excited. I think what's going to be fun about this season is, like you just said, for me, Paul Thomas Anderson has made no bad movies. And for me, Christopher Nolan has made like one bad movie. So I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of bored of doing just perfect movies for me. Like, let's rag on some shit, let's make some garbage.
Yeah.
The beautiful thing about M. Night Shyamalan is the massive highs and the just unfathomable lows that we're going to go to this season.
Yeah. We're going to be combing the earth here.
And I know
scorched earth.
I know it is a common thought that The Sixth Sense is his first movie. I'm sorry to say, folks, we're not starting with Sixth Sense because it's not his first movie. Next week, we are going to be covering M. Night Shyamalan's debut movie, a student film he made called Praying with Anger. It is only available on YouTube in the worst possible quality. So I apologize for anyone who wants to watch along, but that's just where we're starting.
That's going to be rough. Coming out of the gate hot.
It's gonna be something, I'll tell you that much. And it is nowhere near his worst movie, just so you know. We'll get into all this, and I cannot wait to talk M. Night Shyamalan. And like I said, like you said, he's got this new movie, Old, about to come out. Vicky Creeps is in it, so we're gonna get to see her like right away.
Excellent.
I loved her, so I can't wait to see her in that movie too. So,
well, it's time. M. Night time. It's
time.
I'm a little worried right off the bat because
it's going to be our longest season so far, 14 movies.
Okay.
But that's okay, because here's the beautiful thing about M. Night is we're going to soar so high. We're going to get one of the most exciting movies ever made. And then it's just kind of a little bit of a dip, and then straight into hell for like 4 movies, and it's going to be miserable. And then we get a nice little reprieve. He kind of makes a comeback, and I haven't seen Old yet, but I think since he's made his comeback, he hasn't really slipped up again. And that's going to be the narrative we're going to have to cover.
We're going to be all over the place. That's what's going to be fun about it. Yeah, because
I'm very excited.
Will I regret choosing M. Night?
You will in the middle. You fucking definitely will in the middle of the season. But unlike directors like Tim Burton and Robert Zemeckis, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. He does make a comeback.
Don't see your dog in Zemeckis again. You do this once an episode. You can't come at my boy Zemeckis.
Shit movies now.
Oh, now. Yeah, you're right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Aside from Allied and The End of the Walk, he has not made a good movie since like Castaway.
Yeah. All
And
right.
his last movie was The Witches, the remake. It was so bad, dude. It was so
The
bad.
one with Anne Hathaway?
It was so bad.
I didn't see it.
It's so shitty.
Did you see the original?
Yeah,
With
I've seen it.
Angelica
Yeah,
Houston?
fucking classic. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good.
Anyway,
I was terrified of that movie. Yeah.
That movie's fucking demented. But
M. Night
okay,
Shyamalan is Twist King.
Season 3, we're gonna get into M. Night Shyamalan, all the things that make him great and all the things that make him bad. We're gonna I guess we'll just try and pop that out next week. We'll just go right into it, huh? Praying with Anger will be our next episode.
I'm praying it's good.
It's not atrocious. We'll just put it that way.
Well, we'll give it a go.
It is, I will say this. Hard 8 is definitely the best debut we've covered so far between Following and Hard 8. I think Hard 8's much better than Following. Praying with Anger is going to be the worst, but it won't be the worst of all time. Like, we will cover directors down the line who have much worse debuts. Praying with Anger is like
Hard 8 was like a
great.
yeah, I like it really.
I'm just saying, as far as debut goes, like Praying with Anger, it's like a perfectly serviceable like feature debut. It's fine. It's not a nightmare. He does much worse in his career. We'll get into all of that, and I can't wait.
Can't wait.
All right. Well, everyone, thanks for listening. Do you have any final thoughts on PTA? Anything?
No, I just want to thank people for listening and tune in for all the twists and turns for next season.
It's gonna be real twisty. We can find us on Instagram at Film School Dropouts Pod and on Twitter at film_school_pod. Nailed it. Did the Twitter handle correctly this week. We're also on Facebook. Like us, follow us, review us, whatever us. And we will see you next week when we go to India to talk Praying with Anger.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening. My name is James.
I'm Brent.
All right. We'll see you next week.
See you.